Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, the U.S. Embassy in Israel will remain in Tel Aviv as of now and will not relocate to Jerusalem as President Trump is expected to sign an order to postpone the move. Jordan warns the Jewish state of deteriorating their relations unless Israel maintains the historic status quo on Jerusalem's Temple Mount, in which Jews and Christians are forbidden to worship on the site where both biblical temples once stood. According to a new report by Israel's health ministry, the rate of abortions in the Jewish state is particularly low compared to Western countries, which ranks Israel 27 out of 28. A Palestinian assailant reportedly stabbed and lightly wounded this morning an IDF soldier at the entrance to the northern West Bank settlement of Mevodotan. The attacker was neutralized when an IDF force stationed at the scene responded by opening fire at the female assailant. The soldier who was stabbed in this incident was treated at the scene, after which he was taken to a nearby medical facility for further treatment. Now to another matter, the U.S. Embassy in Israel will remain in Tel Aviv as of now and will not move to Jerusalem. High-ranking officials in the U.S. administration revealed that President Donald Trump intends to sign an order this evening, postponing the move yet by another 6 months. The officials noted, however, that the American president would still like to move the embassy to Jerusalem as he had pledged during his election campaign, but that he believes that this is not the right time in view of the efforts to restart the long-stalled negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. This is the second time in which President Trump signed a postponing order for the Jerusalem Embassy Act, an American law that was passed in 1995 by the 104th Congress for the purpose of initiating and funding the relocation of the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The decision by President Trump to hold back on his promise raises pessimism among Israel's leadership, with Jerusalem Affairs and Heritage Minister Zev Elkin stressing that the voices coming from the White House don't leave much room for optimism. Now to another matter, the Jordanian Foreign Ministry sent a letter to the Israeli embassy in Amman in protest of what it called was visits of extremists under the protection of the Israeli police to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is located on the Temple Mount. In the letter, Jordan claimed the visits had taken place repeatedly over the course of a week in which Jewish settlers were defiling the holy sanctuary, demanding the Israeli government to immediately stop these acts of provocation and honor Jordan's role as the custodian of the holy sites of Islam in Jerusalem, a role Israel is obligated to honor under the peace treaty between the two countries. Jordan warned in the letter that the ongoing situation was damaging to relations between the two countries and undermines the historic status quo of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, a term in Latin that preserves the existing state of affairs as it was before a war, in this case prior to the Middle East War of 1967, during which non-Muslims were not permitted to worship or visit the Temple Mount. The letter by Jordan's foreign ministry further accused Israel's behavior as tantamount to provoking Muslim feelings and constitutes a violation of Article 9 of the peace treaty between the two countries, which requires Israel to give high priority to the Jordanian historic role in the Muslim holy shrines in Jerusalem. That said, the letter did not touch on subsection 3 of Article 9, which calls on both Israel and Jordan to act together to promote interfaith relations among the three monotheistic religions, with the aim of working toward religious understanding, moral commitment, freedom of religious worship, tolerance, and peace. Now to Yemen, where the United Nations Special Envoy for the war-torn country urged to prevent any future attacks on the Houthi-held Red Sea port of Hodeidah, and called for the central bank's independence to be maintained to allow it to pay salaries on both sides of the conflict. Both requests are key conditions set by the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels, a militant group controlling Yemen's capital Sana'a, to restart negotiations with the Saudi-backed government aimed at reaching a political settlement for the conflict.
القضية الأولى التي جئت من أجلها هو أن نتجنب بكل الطرق أن تكون هناك عملية عسكرية على الحديدة. أنتم تعلمون موقف الأمم المتحدة واضح بهذه القضية وأشرنا إليه أننا لا نريد أن تكون هناك عملية عسكرية في الحديدة لأن لها تداعيات إنسانية ويمكن أن تكون هناك ضحايا مدنية كثيرة ونريد أن نتجنبها، ولازم أن نجد حل بين الأطراف يتجنب هذه العملية.
The Hodeida port is one of the most strategic areas in Yemen, as it has been the entry point for some 70% of the country's food supplies and humanitarian aid. The port is also a cause of concern for regional and international powers, considering its close proximity to major maritime shipping lanes, with millions of tons of goods passing in that area on a daily basis. Meanwhile, at the UN Security Council, officials warn that a quarter of Yemen's people are on the brink of famine. Parents are marrying off young daughters so someone else can care for them, and cholera cases are escalating as the world body is working to avert a Saudi-led attack on the strategic port.
I appeal to member states to ensure that all efforts are made to keep Hodeida port open and operating. An attack on Hodeida is not in the interests of any party, as it will directly and irrevocably drive the Yemeni population further into starvation and famine. Yemen now has the ignominy of being the world's largest food security crisis, with more than 17 million people who are food insecure, 6.8 million of whom are one step away from famine. Crisis is not coming, it is not even looming. It is here today, on our watch, and ordinary people are paying the price. By the time I finish my statement to this council today, another child in Yemen will have died from a preventable disease. Over 1 million civil servants have not been paid for months, affecting more than 8 million people, pushing more and more families towards poverty and starvation. Families are increasingly marrying off their young daughters to have someone else to care for them, and often use the dowry to pay for basic necessities.
Military strategists explained to TV7, however, that unless the Saudi-led coalition captures the port from the Iranian-backed Houthis, the war will continue and the situation will continue to deteriorate. Thus, an attack by Saudi Arabia and its allies would have to happen sooner rather than later. An official of the Saudi-led coalition emphasized their determination to help Yemen's government retake all areas held by the Iranian-backed rebels, including the strategic Hodeida port, but told TV7 that the coalition would ensure alternative entry routes for badly needed food and medicine. Now, in other news, according to a new report by Israel's health ministry, the rate of abortions in the Jewish state is particularly low compared to Western countries, which ranks Israel 27 out of 28, with only Croatia in the list with fewer abortions per year. In 2015, there were 19,531 applications to the Committee of Termination of Pregnancy, which resulted in 18,240 approved abortions that were performed. Since the year 2000, there has been a 25% drop in pregnancy termination rates in Israel and a decline of 32% since 1990. That said, Israel has one of the most liberal abortion policies in the world, with government funding virtually providing women with an option to obtain an abortion at any point in pregnancy. Thank you for watching us. You can also watch us at TV7israelnews.com or TV7.fi. For any comments, please send your emails to israelnews@tv7.fi. For more updates from Israel and the region, please join our Facebook page at TV7 Israel News. Praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. I'm Jonathan Hassan. Have an Erev Tov, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.
In order to donate to TV7 Israel News, please follow these simple steps. First, press the Donate logo, located at the bottom left side of TV7 Israel News Facebook page, or on the Donate tab at the head of the page. Then insert the amount you'd like to donate, and fill in your credit card information. Just like this. And press Review Donation and continue. After reviewing your donation details, please press Donate to finalize your donation. That's it! Your donation is now complete, and an email with your donation details has been sent to your email address. You can also print your donation receipt by pressing the link here. Thank you for supporting TV7 Israel News.